There is always talent in this room when we have our meeting, but today there's an abundance of talent. And I am honored to present two people that is part of a family business venture. Salt Fork Designs was started by the Radford family and the mother of Laura, Sharon Brandt, as well. I've got Sharon Brandt, Sharon, it was actually Brandt at one time, right? Laura Radford here today, and her son Garrett. Garrett is a sophomore at Alva High School. The talent runs deep in the family. The other brother is Wyatt, who is smart enough to go to Northwestern, and he's doing extremely well. I think he's in his freshman year, correct? And we're just happy to have them here. They're in the jewelry business, but they also are in the photography business. You've probably seen some of Laura's and Wyatt's work at the gallery downtown. I was there a couple years ago and heard a lady say, I feel like I'm right there in the photographs. So very, very nice work. I'm going to give it over to Laura and Garrett.
Wyatt's not here, but I'm going to brag on him a little bit. Wyatt right now is the whatever congressional district we're in. He is our Frank Lucas Congressional District Art Contest winner. He won a trip to Washington, D.C. He went to Washington, D.C. in June. Garrett traveled with him. And his piece that won is actually hanging in our nation's capital for this whole year until next June. So that's cool. That's one of Wyatt's pieces. I'm going to start by telling you guys a little bit about how this all got started, and this is the reason we do all this. So when Garrett was 13, he decided he wanted to do leather work. And so for Christmas one year, not a typical 13-year-old gift, he wanted a leather kit. So my mom purchased one, and it had coasters and bookmarks and keychains and very basic things, and a stamping kit and some stain and everything. And so he played with that for a little while and quickly figured out if you don't have a sewing machine, there's only so much you can do with leather. So his 8th grade year, he would have been 14, we go to the NCHA Futurity in Fort Worth, Texas, and we hang out in Carrie Kelly's booth. And so Carrie Kelly does bits and spurs, and he does beautiful, beautiful custom silver work on all of his pieces. We hang out in his booth, and Kevin orders a pair of spurs, and Garrett comes home with this burning desire to know how to make bits and spurs. So I made arrangements with Carrie for him to spend 3 days with him over spring break that year in Weatherford, Texas. So Garrett goes down and he hangs out with Carrie, and he gets the full, hangs out in the shop, sees it happen from scratch, gets to start playing with the jeweler's saw, cuts out his brand, and he comes home with the belt buckle. So Carrie then calls me and tells me where I can go to purchase all of this wonderful high-dollar equipment so that Garrett can now get started in his own business. So he comes and he says, this is what I want, and this is what I want, and it only costs. And I'm like, oh, Garrett. I said, I don't have the money to do this. So Garrett decides, all on his own, that he's going to come up with a business plan. Well, as probably all of you know, Grandpa was the bank president for many years. So he comes up with a business plan, gets it all down on paper, has his projections, knows what everything costs, gets dressed up. He has on a starched shirt, khaki pants, his boots, and he has on this buckle that he's made with Carrie Kelly. He goes and presents Grandpa his business plan. My mother was so horrified at the way my father treated my child, and that she said he raked him over the coals, asked him every question imaginable, and that Garrett had an answer prepared for each one. So Grandpa personally loans him the money, interest and all, and has threatened to foreclose on him a couple of times because Garrett hasn't made a payment yet, because in high school you're not actually supposed to sell your artwork. Well, we found out there's a loophole in that, and so he can now sell his jewelry pieces, but it was quite the experience. So we purchased the equipment. Well, in the meantime, we went to an engraving school. And so, Gary, if you want to pass that around, we learned that's just a practice plate from that school. We did that for a week. Garrett drug me along because he wasn't old enough to drive, and I hated every second of it. And they would say, "Are you having fun yet?" And I would say, "No." But Garrett loved it. And so that's just an engraving, that's just a practice plate from that class with some brass inlaid into just a steel plate. So we got all this equipment, did all that. Well, then I decided if we're going to do this, and I have to learn that I don't want to engrave, but I want to make jewelry. So next thing you know, I am purchasing all kinds of other equipment to make jewelry. So we've now learned to set stones, and I've got a spinner ring on. Garrett has on a big stone. And later you guys can come up and look at all this. There's pendants up here, but this has just been something that my mom, who's retired, decided, I guess she was bored. So then she decides that she's going to start making jewelry. So now she's up there every day, and my dad is so mad because she doesn't cook for him anymore because she's making jewelry. And she's never home to do his bookwork and everything, and so he's threatened that he's going to hire a maid and a bookkeeper because she's making jewelry all the time. So this has just turned into an all-family thing. Now Wyatt, for Christmas, he knows what he's getting. He's getting a potter's wheel because all through high school he loved pottery. He has done a couple really beautiful sculptures through McClure's class and has won some stuff with those as well. So you're going to start seeing pottery added. But I'm going to let Garrett talk about all these pieces and kind of the different steps and how he goes about making something, because he's very talented. I have everything from rings he's made up here to just all kinds of stuff. So he's kind of the talent and the brains behind all this. We just kind of are his little minions. So I will let him talk a little bit.
Hello, everybody. Well, first we got to start with the basic part of this. No matter what you're going to make, you're going to have to start with just a blank sheet of whatever metal you're going to start with. This is copper. So all those big copper cups like this, and well, this one has silver on it, but that base layer is copper. So when you start, you're going to have to make all your measurements, figure out how big the person's wrist is, and do all that, and make your measurements, and you're just going to cut that out, and it's just going to be just as straight and ugly as it can be. When you start making jewelry, you figure out it gets a lot worse before it gets better, no matter what you make. So then you start texturing it with a hammer if you're making something like that, and it just starts getting uglier and uglier, and it starts to curl the wrong way, and you're like, how in the world is this ever going to look like a real piece of jewelry? By the time you heat it up, it's starting to turn black now, and it's not shiny, and you're starting to get discouraged. But by the time you bend it around and polish it, it turns into a beautiful piece like any of these, and you start to feel proud of your work. This piece will make anyone frustrated. This is a chain that's not built yet. That's as far as we got, and we need to put all those on there.
We'll pass that around, Garrett.
So when you build a chain, here you are.
That's
Let
a
you
rough.
start with that.
That's a very rough.
That's
thing.
the roughest it can be. It starts with square wire, which is that what that is? Yes. It starts as this big piece of square wire. You got to wrap this around something circle and make all those little bitty circles. You got to cut them all and line them all up and solder them or fuse them together, whatever you do. And the whole time you're doing it, you're just thinking, I want to poke my eye out. This is so boring. But when you're done, it looks really nice.
Pass around that big finish chain.
This one.
That one.
Yeah, when you're done, it looks like that. So, here you go, Lynn. I don't ever want to make another chain again if I don't have to. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I just want to set stones. This was the first stone I set by myself when I got back. We didn't have any silver yet, so it's just set in copper, and it's not a real expensive piece, but it looks really good for my first piece by myself. There's stamp work, and if I could just stamp and set stones for the rest of my life, I'd be happy. So you can look at that one too. Most of our stuff right now is just etched stuff, and it's all custom, and I really like it. I don't like to do that either, but
Send it on that divine, the one that has divine on it.
the divine one.
Yeah.
So the whole process of that, that is what takes everybody. It takes Sharon, it takes you, because you have to design it and make your piece and print it out on this special paper that sticks to metal. And then you have to watch it in an etch bath for 4 hours, which isn't fun at all. And then you got to take it out, clean it up, and rivet it to the metal. And that takes everybody's effort. That's the thing that we're making a lot of, and everyone touches those pieces sometime or another. I just now started playing with some twisted wire, and I think that's going to look nice when it's done. It took me like 5 minutes to make this, so this might be my new bread and butter piece. I like it.
That's a rough concept.
Yeah, we're designing that right now. We got all kinds of stuff up here. I didn't realize how much we actually have made. These rings we're making for someone. These are fun to make. I like them. I don't know if everyone likes to make their rings, but they're just half dome wire. I'll let you have this one. It looks the most circular. And you take a half dome wire like this isn't half dome, but you take wire like this, and you wrap it around your ring mandrel and fuse it together right there and size it up. And I have 2 orders of rings, 2 pairs, and
For Christmas, those will have a square plate on top that has ranch brands. Those are all custom orders. He's got several sizes up here that the person's brand will go on a square plate of copper, which I don't have one. But the top will be square like this, but all made out of copper, and then it'll have like silver beads around the edge, and their brand will be on there. So most of what we have as far as orders are custom orders because we're a little bit different in that they can have a name put on there, their business logo like the Divine cuff. I have people up here that ordered butterflies and eagles. They had, these are going to California. Their daughter wanted butterflies and their son liked eagles. And so we can make them for little bitty kids up to whatever, because like Garrett said, we're starting with a sheet. So these can be as wide, as long, as narrow as anyone wants.
what have we got? So we got here.
This is Argentium. Do you want to tell them about Argentium?
Yeah, I can. Okay, I bet a lot of you know what sterling silver is. The compound of it's 92% silver. Argentium's 93% silver, so it's a little bit more silver. When you start getting into Argentium, it makes it so much easier to work with. It's a little softer, and they say it doesn't tarnish as quickly, so I really like to work with that. It's easier to stick together.
It fuses to itself. So you don't always have to solder. It has a temperature when it will go ahead and fuse to itself. Like, so pass that piece around. That back bail, I made that piece. So the bail that's on the back, that your necklace runs through, is fused to the actual pendant. So now that is all one piece. There's no piece of solder in there that can break or anything. That is all fused together as one big piece of silver.
I wish we had more textured stuff. The textured stuff's fun to make. I like it because anyone can do it, and it's pretty fun. The textured pieces, you cut out your piece of copper, and you get a hammer that you like to design. You just start going away at it and hitting it until it starts to look like a pattern.
Explain those in a second.
Okay. But the textured, they leave edges and stuff, and you got to clean those up. It's all pretty fun to do all this stuff. But just about like I said, everything you do gets a lot worse before it gets better. These were cool. This was our first jewelry piece to make. We made it out of class. Like, I've engraved and I made some stuff before, but I never made any jewelry. So this lady, we go to this class, and she's in Edmond, and she goes, "You're going to make hard earrings today." And I'm like, "Well, I don't really want to wear hard earrings, but okay." That's what you want us to make. So we make a pair of these, and all we did was we drew out a heart freehanded. I'm thinking, lady, you don't know me real well. I can't draw at all. So we draw this heart on here, and we have to take a drill and drill a hole and take this jewelry saw, which I was lucky enough I already used one before. You and my grandma have not. When you use that jewelry saw, the braids break so easily that that was a terrible first class for them. Yeah. But after you cut the hearts out, we're thinking, oh no, this is not ever going to work. And that was just a piece of sheet silver like that, and it was all flat, and we had to hammer the texture on there, and then they put it in this thing and it domed it that we had never seen before, and we're like, this is kind of a cool thing to do, kind of a cool thing to start. So that's where we started learning it, and she's like, well, this is what you need to make all these pieces. So we went home and we had to buy that stuff, and started making earrings because that's what we knew how to do. And then before 2 or 3 classes later, we learned about the etch, and that's what everybody's really hooked onto is our etch stuff. I don't know why everyone's hooked onto that so well. I think it's because it's custom to you. It's whatever you like, whatever you want. But I really like all this stuff. Is there anything else you want to?
I have you can pass these around. These are cute little earrings. Mom actually made this pair. Her initials are on the back, but something that we have coming up that I can't put it on Facebook or anything yet because the first prototype for this idea was my nephew, who is 5.
Oh.
And he wrote mommy on a piece of paper. My mom scanned it and ran it through her program and put it on that paper that Garrett talks about that sticks to this so that you can etch it. And so it's her Christmas present, and so I cannot put it out there yet until we give this to her. But I think it's going to be good. So he wrote mommy, and my mom put a heart, and so then his writing is etched in that copper. And it's now attached. It's a 2-piece. It's on brass like this. But so you can write personal notes. You know, you could write something to your daughter or your grandmother or whatever, or you could put scripture on them, whatever. But after Christmas, I'm going to put that one out there for people to see because it is his writing, and it's. I borrowed him one day and I said, I'm taking him and do not ask him what we're doing. And she kind of laughed because 5-year-olds can't keep a secret. I said, don't ask him. I said, because he can't tell you what we're doing. And so that was our kind of, it's a secret piece that nobody can know. Here's like a stone set on a pendant. And this piece is fine silver. But I think we've about covered everything. Have we ran way past our time?
What do you call a stone? Finished stone? Cabochon?
Cabochon, yep. We have, oh, that's another funny story. So my mom likes cabs, and they have these sites on Facebook where you can go buy cabs. And she has probably 70-ish cabs. And every time Garrett will pick one out to make something, she'll say, oh, that's my favorite one. You can't make anything with this. So I tell her it's her expensive rock collection. So until she'll let go of some of those, but she has some very pretty cabs, and we'll start setting more stones. Till we can get through with all of these orders for Christmas, like we're stuck etching. And once Christmas is over, I have cut off any orders. We'll start setting more stones and doing more other things.
So, is it only, like, do you make things that you put out somewhere to be sold, or is it just you make for the orders?
No, we have stock pieces too. We have a website.
Okay.
And so we ran a Black Friday special, we ran a Cyber Monday special, and I'm pretty sure our Cyber Monday special is still on right now, but we have just in-stock pieces as well.
What's your website?
saltporkdesigns.com.
Where's the workshop at? Your house?
Right now it is my grandma's house that's up on the west end of town. We were doing it there, and my dad, he is so funny. We were never home, ever. So what did he do? He's in the process of building a shop in his backyard so that we would be back at the house.
I know back when I graduated from Northwestern Line, it had a very good industrial arts department, and for a semester I took lapidary
Yes.
from Dr. Brown.
Yes.
He has top of the line equipment, and I made a bolo tie. He had slabs of rock laying on a table, and he said, "Okay, everybody, pick you out your rock." And I picked out this one that was kind of, it was black, but had some gray streaks going through it. And yeah, it took a lot of work. It took a lot of work.
Yeah.
But I made a bolo tie. And, you polish it so well that it looks like you might have took a brush of lacquer, but no, you don't. It's not lacquered, it's just that shiny.
Yes,
You get through it.
Do you do any leather work? Or are you gonna go back to leather?
For Christmas this year, I asked for a sewing machine. So
It's been ordered and he knows about it, so.
once I get that,
That was the hiccup.
Skeeter had a question.
Later.
The business plan you presented to your grandfather, is it working? Has it changed several times?
it's just kind of now getting into play because I haven't been able to sell anything. But yeah, it seems to be working. What the thing was about then, I didn't know what all I could do with jewelry. So I was saying I could engrave all this stuff and sell it. Well, I didn't realize how long it took to be a good engraver. My teacher there, when we were at that school, he said something like, this guy gave me this such and such pistol that's rare and all this, and he wanted me to engrave it. And I've only been engraving about 5 years. I wasn't good yet. And I was like, what? So that kind of made me rethink my decisions, because at that point I already had a business plan and a debt to pay off. I was like, well, I better get to practicing.
Did you count all those pieces that you handed me? I handed Bill 15 pieces, and there's only 2 that come back.
We're missing a big chain necklace and some chain and thing.
I've got a metal detector at the door.
The funnest thing for me to do is engrave. I really like it. When we went to that school, it was a week, 5 days, right? With master engraver Steve Dunn, and I want to get back into one of his classes pretty quick. And by day 5, you're getting pretty mentally tired. So I sat down with him that whole afternoon on day 5 and just picked his brain about how he did this and how he did that, because he had a portfolio there out of all the stuff he made. And to hear people that talented talk is pretty amazing. He had done some, he's a forge, he makes knives and engraves on guns. And the stuff he did in that forge was amazing. And that's kind of what inspired me to engrave was him, because he was
Oh, we
amazing.
also have a forge.
Is the turquoise stone setting still pretty popular?
It is. Turquoise is very soft. And so we're practicing on some of the stones that are a little harder, because once you get into turquoise, if your hammer slips when you're setting it, it'll gouge it or break it.
Is that what's on his room?
This is
Actually,
Jasper.
Jasper. You can pass that around.
This Jasper it's always pretty colored, and it's like agate's the hardest, but agate's usually really dark, and I don't like the look of it real well. But it's what you want to start setting, because it's hard. They have a scale, and I don't remember what it is.
The
but
Mohs hardness scale.
Yeah, the Mohs hardness scale. And agate's like a 10, like it's the hardest you can have on a semi-precious stone. And then Jasper's a little below that. And then turquoise is way down here, so you got to be careful when you start setting turquoise.
Garrett has going back to the futurity, he gets lots of inspiration there. There's a jeweler named Jackie Reed, and he owns Reed Jewelers in Fort Worth, in downtown Fort Worth. And he does a lot of Western stuff, engraving on titanium bands and putting ranch brands in there, and then he'll set diamonds and everything. Well, that's kind of Garrett's idol. And so Garrett wants to someday be just like Jackie Reed, and he's thinking that he actually wants to be a fine jeweler and hopes to set diamonds and have a jewelry store someday. And so that's not something you hear very often of someone Garrett's age, that they want to go through all the process to be a fine jeweler. And there's a lot of testing
For goldsmith.
for goldsmiths to be like a master goldsmith or a master jeweler, and that's kind of where he wants to go. Now, I've told him he also needs to get a business and marketing degree, because if you're going to do anything in life, you better know how to market it. And that goes back to even, the cattle and grains and whatever. So I hope that he focuses on that while he's also doing jewelry, because almost every day I hear, I'm just gonna drop out of school and be a jeweler. I'm like, no, not yet.
We're talking about that master goldsmith made me think, like, you have which we don't do on ours, but we should. You have a little stamp that you stamp on there, on the inside, and it says it has a number, and that number registers into what kind of metal it is. To get your stamp for gold, you have to pass a test. You can't just go buy that stamp. So I'm hoping I can pass that test here in a couple of years and get my stamp for gold.
Then you can say it's 24 karat, it's 18 carats, whatever, but you have to go through all that to be able to put that stamp in there.
And I mean, you can just buy gold and start working, but you have no way to show people that it's really gold because you don't have the stamp yet. So that's kind of how they discourage you from just going at it.
Are you gonna make your mother a jewelry for Christmas?
I am. I can't talk about that. I asked her, I'm like, what do you want for Christmas? And she's like, I think Santa Claus should bring me a big turquoise stone and a bracelet. I'm like, well, I'll tell Santa Claus.
Thank you both very much.
Wonderful.
Excellent.